Alright, so the rifle that I used at Rocky Mountain 3 Gun 2018 in He-Man Scope Division was this Armalite Ar-10. It's a pretty good rifle for the task. Armalite actually replaced the barrel for me at the factory with a Proof Research 18-inch carbon fiber barrel. So what this barrel is basically, it offers the benefits of a very heavy profile barrel as far as accuracy and the way it deals with heat and higher round counts, but at the weight of a pretty lightweight, kind of light contour barrel. Then I replaced the factory Leupold Ar Buttstock with an Xlr Tactical Ar Buttstock. Works pretty well. I kind of like just the fit of it better than the Leupold. There's more options for adjustability. It's got a nice rubber butt pad, which for the 175 grain ammo I was shooting was nice. 308 doesn't really hurt my shoulder, but this definitely doesn't hurt my shoulder. Trigger's good. It's the factory Timney, factory ergo grip. It's a good gun out of the box to go. If you want to do some more things with it, you can put a proof barrel on it, change the buttstock for preference. But that's the rifle. The other thing I added, the factory handguard is Keymod. Keymod is falling out of favor, sort of. M-Lock is sort of the new thing that's cool. I can't say that there's a big performance benefit for 90% of the things you would mount to a handguard, M-Lock versus Keymod, but I do have this super cool Magpul Bipod. I'm a big fan of it. The only one that they could get on time to me, they graciously provided it for the match, was the M-Lock Direct Connect version. They have M-Lock, Picatinny rail, and 1.5-inch Arca Swiss dovetails. This is what they had, so I actually got an adapter from Midwest Industries that takes a Keymod handguard and adapts it for 2 slots of M-Lock. Worked pretty well. Then for my other bipods, I just use a Magpul M-Lock rail. I put it right in there, and I tighten it down with the driver on my Leatherman Mutt. So it's pretty easy for me to change it out. I actually did not find a stage where I wanted to use the Magpul Bipod, unfortunately, but I did use this bipod, which is a Harris 13 to 27 inch on a GG&G Picatinny mount. And when I fully extend this bipod, it's long enough for me to actually take a supported kneeling position pretty much anywhere I can find flat-ish ground. I elected to use that on stage. I'm not sure if it was better than just supporting on the prop that they had there and then going prone on another position. But I had it and I decided I'd try and use it. It worked out fairly well. I'm not sure if it cost me that much, but that's what I ended up using as a bipod for the match. The next big piece of gear that I used on actually most of the stages with long-range rifle was this Armageddon Gear Game Changer bag. So this is a bag that's very popular in the precision rifle game for shooting off of barricades. It's something that you can attach. Either you can just throw it on yourself, so you can clip it to your belt or a pocket with this carabiner that I threw on there. It's also got straps that you can use to attach it to the forearm or forend of a rifle. The long strap will go over your scope, and the short strap stays on the front end of the gun. So if I just loosen this up, it's easy enough for me to mount. And what this does is it allows the gun to more easily attach and connect to any sort of barricade just by putting this on the front end of a gun. It's fairly heavy. It weighs, if I were to estimate, about a pound. And you can just see the way that it's set up. It's got an open section in the middle that will clamp onto pretty much anything up to about 4 inches wide. I just put it in this gap here, and it naturally wants to close up and stick to it. And it changes the balance of the gun to be very forward, so it's easier for me to stay connected to a barricade with this bag on there. And what it let me do is it made for a little bit more stability in positions, but it also kind of let me cheat a little bit and not get super stable behind the position, because I could just sort of stick the gun on there and it stayed put pretty well without me having to support the rear of the gun a whole lot. So I was a big fan of this. The only thing I'm not crazy about on it, number one, is the price. I mean, it's like $100, but you want good things, they cost money. And the straps are kind of more set up for a precision rifle with a longer scope, so it's a little bit loose basically on the front end of the gun when I strap it down here. But that's the Armageddon Gear Game Changer bag. It helped a lot on several positions in this match, and it's something I would certainly add to the toolkit if I were shooting in open division or heavy at Rocky Mountain 3 Gun, where you're allowed to use supporting devices on the gun. Now the ammo I used in this match was probably the biggest thing that cost me as far as just equipment not being optimized, and that was using 175 grain 308 ammo that I loaded for basically, it's designed to shoot 308 to 800 and 1,000 yards. That means it comes with a pretty significant cost in recoil, which isn't necessarily painful, not a recoil sensitive shooter, but it does make the gun move off the target more. And especially when you're used to shooting 223 and you have about a week of train up to shoot a 308 in a big match for the first time really ever, it costs you. I mean, the gun's jumping off and jumping around a lot more than you're used to, and I probably could have done a better job loading the gun into the barricade and putting more weight into it, but sometimes I pulled the trigger and the gun would take me for a little bit of a ride, and I'd lose track of where the target was in the scope and have to come back to it. Not that I lost it, but I would have to simply return the gun more than I would have with lighter, like 150 or 125 grain ammo loaded specifically for the sport. In fact, the recoil in this ammo was so much that this magazine coupler from, this is 2 PMAGs with a Springer precision coupler on it. I loaded the gun from one side, and the recoil was enough that it actually walked rounds out of the left side magazine here to the point where it caused an issue loading the magazine into the gun because the bullet was sticking way out to here, and I had to basically shuck that round out before I could load it in the magazine, just because of the recoil of the ammo. But that's the ammo, the magazine coupler, and the unique issue it presented, and rifle bag bipod setup I used for Rocky Mountain 3 gun 2018.